So, Zed, how have you been? It's been more than 2 months that since we.
It's been more than 2 months, and first of all, welcome everyone to the first tech pod of
Yeah, yeah.
2022 for us because we left off in December, I guess, 2021, and now we're coming back in 2022. So welcome all, and hopefully this year will bring a lot of amazing, interesting tech, and we'll be discussing about all that. We'll also have a lot of fun finding all the faults in all the tech products and
Okay, we can discuss those, but do you want our listeners and viewers to know? Do you want them to understand that what happened, why we didn't shoot a podcast for the last 2 months?
Okay. First of all, I was down with COVID. COVID finally caught up with me.
And I had fractured my wrist, so that's why I had a plaster on my right hand for around a month, and I'm still recovering. I'm not able to work out. I'm not able to do anything. So, as you may be able to see, I have gained some weight because of this.
So January was full of sickness and I don't know, just day offs and nothing. And it was very long also. I mean, the January is just
Yeah,
not
yeah.
ending.
First time it happened that January was not ending in like 2 days or something. 2 days after the New Year, January did not end. It actually lasted for 31 days.
And now February also, it feels so long.
I was actually thinking yesterday, यार अभी तक सैलरी क्यों नहीं आई है? Isn't this the month end? अभी तक सैलरी आ जानी
And
चाहिए
it is
थी. I was
supposed to
thinking that.
be, it's supposed to come early this month.
Yeah, yeah. 3 days early. Then
3 days
what
early.
what was the point? What was the point? We still have not got our salaries.
Oh.
So Zed, we'll start. We have let our audience know that why we were gone, disappeared from podcasting because of this, and it happened one after another. As soon as I got recovered from my fracture, then you got COVID and you were down for around 2 to 3 weeks. Then
So for all out there, do take care, stay at home and wear your mask.
we had a Samsung event recently. In the previous podcast, we had discussed about Qualcomm 898 processor, right?
Hmm.
Qualcomm Snapdragon 898 processor, and I think we were wrong on that front.
8 Gen 1 is the
Yeah, they
thing.
they have they have
Is
basically
the thing.
renamed the whole thing. Yeah, Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 is the new chipset.
But there is one thing that we were not wrong about, that I mean, we knew it that it wouldn't be too exciting. It wouldn't, and it will be just be an incremental upgrade. And I don't see anyone actually really excited at talking about the 8 Gen 1's performance because it really does not stand out. So we predicted well on that part, I would say.
Yes, and and as far as I am getting to know and I'm reading about this stuff, that is a power hungry chip. It is
Hmm.
actually consuming more power, and that is the S22 Ultra, which is now the Note. It has 5000 mAh battery, but still it is draining quite easily. So
Hmm.
you can kill that device off in a day.
Hmm. Oh God, I mean, see, this time Samsung did not even experiment with their devices, like no new hardware as such, apart from the chipset and all. But still,
Mhm.
this time also they are facing many issues from day one. So there are seriously many issues regarding the battery, even the display. Samsung has always been known for their best displays, but the S22 Ultra, there are many reports of the display having some issues on it. So it's not a
Okay.
hardware thing; it's a software thing. So they are fixing it. Software updates are coming, as I just saw recently. But
Hmm.
this is really, I mean, highly not expected from Samsung at least.
Yeah, at least in department of displays, we are not expecting Samsung to slack off or to
Hmm.
lag behind of any of the smartphones, because they are the primary supplier of Samsung and LG are the primary supplier of smartphone
Hmm.
displays
Right.
to each and every brand out there. So we do not expect them to slack off. And also, most of the people are talking about how well or how good the S22 Ultra is built, or it is not just performing. They have basically changed the whole lineup. They have brought note like features into the Ultra, or they have basically just killed the Ultra and
Kill the note.
manufactured a Note, but it had just renamed it to Ultra.
But I think this makes sense because see, before what happens, the justification for a Note device basically was firstly the S Pen, and the second thing was to improve on the defects or the issues which
Shortcomings,
the
shortcomings.
as the S20 Galaxy series faced. Because Samsung has a tendency to experiment with new and new hardware features, like the zoom feature they introduced, long backspace zoom feature. So they have this tendency to experiment, and their Galaxy lineup usually has some faults. So the Note lineup used to improvise on that, make some enhancements in those. So that's why the Note lineup was there. But I think this time around they don't have any such improvements as such, any major changes as such. So I think I mean, just getting away with the Note lineup makes sense, I guess. And it's easy for the consumers also, like just one hold and hold
Hmm.
ultra device with the S Pen with everything that they want.
Yeah, actually, and also the whole point of a Note device was to take quick notes. And just because Galaxy Note supported S Pens, it made note taking a whole lot easier. Right, we can just pop out that S Pen and we can start taking notes. And as now, the Fold devices, the Z Fold 3 is now supporting S Pen. I think the whole purpose of a Note device, having a note, a different note lineup. Right. It will first of all kill off the sales of the Fold devices, which is hardly there. Very small number of people are buying Fold devices, but if they are buying it for a note taking purpose or having a massive display, having a good display, I think that would have sabotaged the sales of Fold devices if there was a Note.
Actually,
Right.
yeah.
In this Samsung lineup, we have an S22 and S22 Plus, S22 Ultra, and we would also had S22, sorry, Note 22, and after that the Z Flip and Z Fold series. So it was too much crowded, right?
And also remember last time I told you that Samsung is copying Apple and making smaller devices and trying to mimic
Yeah,
the
yeah.
iPhone 12 mini. So this time they have made it smaller. The S22 is a really compact device, but I really don't get it. Like, why not learn from the mistakes what Apple did? Why just simply copy them? Because see, they have made the phone smaller, battery is smaller, and they did try to make improvements with the software to optimize battery life, especially with the variable refresh rate, because S22 series also have some variable, like I think 40 hertz to 120,
48 to
right?
120. Yeah,
Yeah,
48 to
48 to
120
120.
hertz.
But still, I'm seeing reports there is not much improvement and hardly it gets through a day. The S22, especially the smaller S22. So again, it's like again having the iPhone 12 mini altogether again just with Android. So I don't get it. 1 year later, why to just copy the same thing? I mean, if you have some improvements, if you have something better to offer, then it would have made sense.
See, if there was a variable refresh rate and there was an option of a display where you can toggle between 48 hertz to 120 hertz or 10 hertz to 120 hertz, so that would have saved the battery life, because most of the times the screen is stable. This screen is just there. It is not moving most of the times, unless you are playing games or something like that. If you're reading, if you're scrolling, then only the it would have gone up to 120 hertz. So that would have saved the battery. And also making device smaller, only making device smaller doesn't help. You need to improvise on things, because Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 is a power hungry chip, and it consumes a lot of battery, so they should have worked on that as well.
And also it has heating issues just like the 888 had. So they haven't much improved on the heating part. It still heats up a lot. So all those issues are still there. So particularly this S22 lineup does not seem that exciting. But yeah, the S22 Ultra especially, I mean, it is overall a great device. Like you cannot compare like how much better it is from the previous ones, but respectable device, I would say.
Yeah, I would like to give it a go. I would like to experience that in my hand, having that massive phone, having those four cameras, having that space zoom, having that S Pen, the ease of taking notes, the ease of noting something down. I would like to do that, because if a professional opts for that device, it is mostly because they wants to they want to make a quick note of anything that comes to their mind, and they don't want to just type it, they want to write it.
Right. and they want to have that same writing experience. So that's why they have worked on the latency even more this time. So I would really like to experience that. Like now they say that it actually feels like writing on a paper with a pen. So that is something that they have actually worked on and they have given more heat to. So it's something to try on.
This is for the S22. So have you watched the Samsung event which they had?
Yes, yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. So they also introduced three tablets,
Hmm.
S8, S8 Plus, and S8 Ultra. Tab S8 Ultra.
But did you find anyone after that event talking about the S8 and the S8 Plus?
No, no.
Everyone is talking about the S8 Ultra. I think it's the only big thing now.
They didn't even give those review units to the tech reviewers.
Hmm.
They didn't give S8 and S8 Plus to the tech reviewers. They just went on and gave the S8 Ultra. Yes, that is a great device, and it also has a notch. It has a
Not
proper
again
camera
copying Apple.
placement. Even after making fun for so many years of that notch, when iPhone 10 came out, they made fun in their commercials, and now here they are having a notch on on one of their flagship devices.
Exactly.
No matter if it is a tablet, but it is still a flagship device. S21, sorry, S Tab S8 Ultra. It is a flagship device and it costs a lot. It has a massive display. It is a very good device, but it still has a notch.
Exactly. But I think the S8 Ultra's performance really matters here because tablets are usually seen like, especially now in 2022, they are seen like almost a replacement of laptops.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you just buy a foldable keyboard with that, a Bluetooth keyboard, then you're just good to go. Because if you consider iPad Pros, their performance is like top notch. So if you don't have like seriously heavy applications, then you're more. I mean, that iPad Pro is more than enough for you. You don't even need to invest in a MacBook Pro. So that's why I think this S8 Ultra's performance would really matter, but it still has that same chip, right? 8 Gen 1. So again, all those problems will flow into this tablet as well.
And they have also underclocked that chip in the tablets, because as you said, it had heating issues, and the thermal envelope of the tablet is very small. Actually, it is
Hmm.
a thin device, so that is why they didn't have that chance to work on the cooling of that chip in that device. So I think that is why they have underclocked it. It is a less powerful chip than what we have in S22s.
Exactly. So I think the S8 Ultra is like a good effort, a good attempt from Samsung, I would say. So for those people who need a big screen, like a really big screen, and also with the S Pen support, right? It has the S Pen support also, and a big screen, a Samsung display, but don't have really heavy applications. Then I think it is good for them. But for professionals, I would still be a bit skeptical about it. And after testing only, I can confirm that should professionals even go for that tablet, or iPad still the thing? I mean,
There's one thing that Apple should learn from Samsung. You will get an S Pen by default. So that is one thing that Apple should learn, and it should also make Apple Pencils available for all the iPads.
yeah. So if you go ahead and if you see Apple is selling the Apple Pencil separately, and it's that too at a really high cost. And when you go and try for the resale of the iPad devices, so the Apple Pencil you usually get a very negligible cost, and it is considered in the same cost. Like it's not considered as a separate commodity. So I think Apple Pencil should be bundled with the iPads because it is a part of that, and it has no other functionality to say. It is just for the iPads.
Unless you are a graphic designer or a, and there are many more applications of an S Pen. Like if we take an example of S22 Ultra, you can just take that S Pen out and use it as a camera shutter button, right?
Exactly. It has Bluetooth, and also it works on the screen also, and in many other apps also. It is that capacitive pen which works on the screen for scrolling also. Apple Pencil I've seen like it does not work really well for scrolling. It does not react to it. Apple Pencil too, especially on my iPad Air 4. So I mean, Apple Pencil has really less functionality. So I would really prefer the S Pen over it, and that too they're bundling with the phone with the Samsung Tab. So that is a good thing that Samsung is doing, because at that cost you get what all the accessories are there for that particular device.
Yeah, yeah. And see, S8 Ultra, the Tab S8 Ultra is a massive device. It has around 14 or a 15-inch screen. Yeah,
Hmm.
it is actually a massive device, and if it is a massive device, then we don't need to carry it around. We can just use it as a laptop. So would you prefer using it as a laptop, replacement, if you have enough money to buy just one device, either a laptop or a tablet, which you can carry anywhere? It is not as bulky.
Yeah, but it's still not portable. It's still a huge device, and also the it has the processor that it has. So after testing it only, we'll get to know. But the 8 Gen 1, as you mentioned before, that it is underclocked, and
Yes.
so the performance of that, I mean the S8 Ultra. I'm not sure why that Ultra is there exactly. The performance is not Ultra to say, but still, based on the applications that it will support, like only if you don't have really heavy applications, then I think the S8 Ultra has a massive display. For entertainment it is good, for using light applications it is good, but for heavy applications, it's still not comparable to the iPad Pros.
Yes, if we compare the Apple phones and tablets and Samsung phones and tablets, we can see, even if same chip that we have in iPhone 13s, we have the same chip in iPad Mini is still more powerful than iPhone 13 series. It has an extra GPU, and also it has a massive display to support. So at least the benchmarks show that the iPad Mini is more powerful than the iPhone 13s. But here in Samsung's case, what they have done is they have made their phones more powerful than their tablets.
Exactly. And I think Samsung's tablets, especially more entertainment or media oriented rather than
Productivity.
productivity or performance oriented. So if you're looking for high performance, then I think still there is nothing like the iPad Pros. But yeah, so the S8 devices have actually their displays are really good. I mean, really comparable to the iPad Pros, I would say. So I think the display department always Samsung scores well.
It has an OLED display. It has an OLED display as compared to a mini LED on iPad Pro.
Exactly, yeah. So I think on that front, yeah, Samsung still needs to improve on the performance front.
Okay, have you seen a review from any of the tech YouTubers or any of the tech reviewers for S8 and S8 Plus?
No, exactly not. I mean, I really don't understand, because I think that they are also like, at least if you don't compare, if you just look at them as an individual product, I think they also have good features. They are also like more than enough for light users. But still, nobody is really talking about it, because I think the S8 Ultra is really gaining all the media, all the hype here.
I think that's what they want to do. That's what they want to have all these people's
But then
attention on the
why?
S8
I
Ultra.
think the S8 and S8 Plus tablets are just to promote the S8
Yeah,
Ultra.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can upsell
The-
people that if you're buying an Asset Plus, then why not go for Asset Ultra? It has more features. It has a bigger screen. You can just upsell those things to the people, right?
exactly. And we were talking about bundling, and I think we should also give props to Samsung that they are also providing bundled offers with the Galaxy Watch 4 and the Galaxy Buds. So with just a couple of thousand extra, you have those offers. Like Apple does not do that. Apple sells each and every small product, including the Apple Pencil, separately, that too at a high cost. So I think we should give props to Samsung to at least give bundled offers, especially at the launch. Later on those offers don't stay.
Not just Apple Pencil, they even sell that polishing, that microfiber cloth as high as 2,000 rupees.
Oh,
They even sell that separately.
I'd rather use my handkerchief.
There was actually a time when those microfiber cloths were included in the package when you buy a MacBook or a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air. But they don't give that anymore, and in the package we have to buy that separately for as high as 2,000 rupees, around 1,900 rupees. It costs, that microfiber cloth, Apple branded. So we are going to have an Apple event, and it is rumored that we are going to have an Apple event where MacBook Air M2, the high performance Mac Pro 27 inch or a 32-inch iMac is going to get released, going to get launched, and also a couple of things. So, what are your thoughts on that?
First of all, I was really hoping for the iPhone SE2 to be having a major upgrade, but so far I see that it's the same iPhone SE with the latest A15 chip and 5G support. That's it. So I was really hoping the iPhone SE2 to have like the iPhone 11 design or
That's
something like that
iPhone
with the
SE3.
notch and
The
everything.
device which is going to get launched is iPhone SE3.
SE3? Oh,
Two is
oh,
already
sorry.
there. You had you only had iPhone SE, the first generation one.
Actually. So the iPhone SE3, that is the one that I'm talking about. Man, these are names are so confusing. They should really name it like the S20 series, just with the year. At least we can remember properly.
Yeah.
So the SE3 is that I really hoped that it would have an upgraded design like the iPhone 11 or even the 12s, like a squared edge design or something. But it's still the iPhone SE2 generations design with the same Touch ID and the same bezels, huge bezels it has. So, what do you think about the iPhone SE3? Do you think it's worth the upgrade, like just for the processor and for 5G connectivity?
See, the battery life is not going to be that great anyway.
Exactly.
So if you want to get a budget iPhone, then I think you should opt for it, because if you are using 5G and it doesn't have that much of a battery life, because it will have the same 1800 mAh battery which we had since iPhone
Hmm.
6, which we have had in that form factor, at least iPhone 6, 6s, 7, 8, and after that the iPhone SE2, those had the same battery, 1800 mAh. And it if you are using 5G, if you are lucky enough to have 5G in your area and you are using that expensive plan, then I think your phone will die, the iPhone SE3 will die within 3 to 4 hours, from 100 to 0, it will die.
So it does not make sense to release an iPhone SE3. I mean, just with those upgrades. I mean, the performance on the iPhone SE2 also is top notch with the A14 processor. So, like, I don't see any sense of the. I mean, okay, if you want the latest iPhone SE with the older design right now, like, I think there will be like not much of an consumer group for that. Only the people who prefer the older design, the
Yeah,
Touch ID
yeah.
and all that. And that too, they can go ahead and buy a discounted iPhone SE2 if they want.
Since the pandemic
Exactly.
began, it has been the most wanted feature in iPhones, because the Face ID was not working if we had mask, and they had to improvise on that. And the Face ID which works with mask is going to come in the iOS 15.4 upgrade, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
When the pandemic
Hmm.
has come into the endemic stage and we have started living with that thing, the Apple is rolling out that feature. But okay, keeping that aside, I think,
Better late
yeah,
than
I
never.
still think that Touch ID uh, is the USP, is the ultimate selling point of iPhone SE3. Otherwise, it is I don't think it is worth it.
Actually, and I think the biggest hype I would say is I really want to see the performance difference with the M2 chips.
Yes, yes.
I think the MacBook Air, which is going to be launched, will have the M2 chip, but the M1 was itself so good. Like even professionals were so excited and so content with it. Like most of their heavy video editing applications also went through with the MacBook M1 MacBook Air, not
Which
even the
doesn't have a
Pro.
fan.
Yeah, fan exactly. So the M1 was in itself like really efficient also. So I would really like to see what M2 will offer. So if you're getting the same performance gain in with the same price of the MacBook Air, then I think M2 is something to look forward to. I mean, this time.
Okay. While you were speaking, a question popped into my mind, and it's actually strange. I don't know if it is appropriate to ask this question, but see, uh, Apple had launched M1 devices somewhere in late 2020, right? And last year they introduced M1 Pro and M1 Max. okay, which were much more powerful than the M1 counterparts. The Apple is going to introduce the M2 chips, okay, which is by theory, which is going to be more powerful than the M1 chip, because it is an incremental upgrade. Okay, so if M2 is more powerful than M1, and M1 Pro and M1 Max is also more powerful than M1, then uh, will that be the case that M2 and M1 Pro and M1 Max will be evenly matched? And if it is, then what is the point of buying an M1 Pro and M1 Max device when you can buy an M2 device, or you can opt for an cheaper M1 device?
Exactly, because the M1 MacBook Air will definitely be at a discounted
Yes.
price post this. So it's a really good thing to think on actually, because nowadays Apple's chipset basically their performance is like, if you of course Geekbench scores will differ. It will show performance gains with the Max, with the lower end chips, but still in like actual real time performance, I really don't think. I mean, there's a huge difference in any of those chipsets, because many reviews that I saw, many people who are using the M1 Max also, they're also saying like at very few instances they saw that improvement in a faster
Yeah, yeah,
processing
yeah.
time. Not much of a difference with the M1 Pro or even the M1 to say the normal M1. So I think these performance gains are just in the Geekbench scores, but in real time day-to-day performance, I don't think most people will even notice a difference.
That's true. And with the M2 chips, there is going to be a redesigned MacBook Air, which is rumored to have wide bezels, so it can go side by side with the smaller iMacs, right? It will have a white keyboard, and people are just saying, we are not sure, people are just saying that it can have a notch, the M2 MacBook Air. But
Exactly.
having a white notch, if see the new MacBook Pros, it has a black notch, and it gets blended in quite easily when the mini LED display in the upper bar, it gets disappeared quite easily, right? But if M2 MacBook Airs have a white notch, a white bezel and a white notch, then wouldn't it look ugly?
It would, and I'm seeing a lot of comments regarding this. People are saying like just when they got to know that this would happen, they are immediately going ahead to buy the
Yeah,
older
yeah,
MacBook
yeah.
Air. People who are waiting for this M2 MacBook Air. Yeah, this is something especially for people who are cared about the aesthetics, and also they are more cared about the design, not the performance. So these people will definitely prefer the older ones and not this kind of a design. But I think if you see the history of Apple, usually in the renders it looks like an ugly device with the
Yeah,
predictions, but when it actually launches, Apple has a way of making some, I mean, blending it in really well. Like even the camera array, the three camera array on the iPhones, when it first showed the renders, everyone was like, oh my god, this, it looks so hideous, we will definitely not go for this. But when they actually released that, especially in the Pros, those three
yeah, yeah,
camera
yeah.
array, it blends in so well with the device. The finishing of the camera array is done so well, it feels like a premium device. So Apple has its way of getting things done, especially when it comes to the design. So I have hopes on that actually. So let's see in the Apple event, because they might actually nail it, to say.
They actually might. They actually can, and it is proven time over time that they actually uh, go out of the way and actually make device feel more premium than its counterpart, or the different devices on the same budget. They have that tendency, and I am actually looking forward to the M2 MacBook Air, because we also are going to have the bigger iMacs. I think the bigger iMacs and the Mac Pro, either in March event or in WWDC, because as Apple had said in the start of 2020 that they are going to have a 2 year transition phase where they are going to move from an Intel based devices to their Apple custom made silicon.
Hmm.
So that window is going to get over in WWDC 2020, sorry, 2022. So I think we are going to see a lot of devices which support the which are redesigned for M types of chips, which are introduced, which are going to get launched. We are also getting rumors of a smaller that display XDR, Apple that Pro display XDR. We are going to get that. We are going to get a redesigned Mac Pro and iMacs, MacBook Airs. I think a redesigned Mac Mini as well.
Yeah, so from 2022 onwards, I think it really makes sense to go for the Apple Silicon Apple Silicon chipset devices, because at the start everyone was skeptical because not many apps also supported the M1 chip. So, but now many apps have been optimized for that, and this looks like a really good time to actually move ahead from Intel, especially if you are using Apple devices. Move ahead from Intel to Apple Silicon. But if you're in Windows, definitely Intel is the only option
Intel
for
or
you.
AMD.
Intel or
Yeah.
AMD or AMD, yeah, different chipsets. So yeah, this is a good thing to look forward to.
According to me, what an ideal and a cheap Apple setup is, if you want to have an M1 setup, buy a Mac Mini, a base configuration Mac Mini, and then if you already have a display or you want to buy a display, you can buy a display, separate display. You can buy keyboard and mouse. You can buy speakers, and you are good to go. M1 Mac Mini has eight CPU and 8 GPU cores, whereas in M1 MacBook Air you get only 7 CPU cores. Sorry, 7 GPU cores. So M1 MacBook Air is actually less powerful than the Mac Mini, and I think you can get more power in the same budget, where with the luxury of having a desktop, having a good looking setup.
And also you can customize it. You can upgrade whichever you want. You can upgrade the display later on if you want. If you want to go ahead with an 8K display later on, you can do that as well, I guess, right? With
And it will get software upgrades from Apple for years to come. For at least 5 years you will get, you will get updates for software updates.
No, but I think I still think, like for most people, especially for light users or those who don't have much professional applications, I think the easiest setup would be to go for an iPad Air and buy, because see, previously we used to get only Apple's Folio keyboard, the Bluetooth keyboard. But nowadays you also get cheaper keyboards, Bluetooth keyboards. So like just connecting to them, you can get a really good setup. The only downside for that is iPads are still not laptops. They don't support all the apps and don't support desktop applications basically. But yeah, for most light users, I think that is will be the easiest setup to do.
Whereas in Samsung devices we get a functionality called Samsung Dex.
Samsung Dex, exactly. Again,
Yeah.
props to Samsung.
So they have made the consumer's choice easier by giving Samsung Dex and all these options. You can just connect to a display and you are good to go. You can use that. Apple should work on that app. If we can see them in benchmark. You can see them in real life testing. That app iPad Pros are actually very powerful, and so are iPad Mini and iPad Air. So why not give an dual boot option, like have a miniaturized
Hmm.
version, have a compressed version of Mac OS inside the iPads, and we can dual boot it in iPad OS and Mac OS. We can have that, right?
Have that exactly.
Because iPad Pros and each and every iPad has that power to handle the dual boot system. I think so.
Exactly. But I think, I mean, even Apple listens to their consumers, but Apple is a bit slower than Samsung. Samsung, like immediately this year, you have consumer complaints. Next year's devices already has those features. Even though they have defects, they have
Yeah.
those features. So Samsung is quick in implementing those, but Apple takes time to perfect those, and then slowly they implement. For example, like ports also on the MacBooks, they had removed a lot many ports, but now they listen to the consumers, and 2 years of complaints, now they have put more ports on that. So they listen, but they listen slowly. So it's a slow process for Apple.
Yes, actually, I think that Apple try to put a feature in their devices only after it is perfected by other smartphone companies, so that they won't get so that the consumers, Apple consumers, won't get a buggy experience. But whatever things Apple has tried to do, when they were the first ones to do that, I think they have been very good at it.
Hmm.
right? They have introduced a telephoto lens, that a dual lens smartphone in the form of iPhone 7 Plus. And I think over time the portrait feature, the telephoto lens, after that an ultra wide lens also came into the picture. But they have improved it massively. The trend of removing the headphone jack, they have started it, and they have made good use of it.
Exactly.
And everyone else have followed the suit. And also they have also started a few things, like having bezel-less of iPhones, by starting with iPhone 10. Many people made fun of them. Many companies made fun of Apple and the iPhone 10 devices. And even now they are making fun of them, but still most of the companies follow the suit. And even the Samsung device has a notch now, because they have also figured out
Hmm.
that there's no other way to accommodate
Other
those
way.
two.
And they can't simply switch to the in display so soon when it's still like not much perfected. So so the interim phase is to go via notch, and then I think in display cameras and even face ID and all those will be implemented, but not so soon. At least 2 to 3 years would take, I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
for the in display camera and the face ID features. Talking about ports, I mean, seriously, when will Apple get rid of the Lightning port and put USB Type C? Because I mean, I have Apple devices, iPhone, iPad, and
Apple
okay, I
Watch,
have only two
Apple
Apple
Watch.
devices. Apple
You
Watch
have an
as
Apple
well. So
Pencil.
there are so many chargers that I need to carry. But I think USB Type C should be the thing in iPhones. So, but I don't think in the iPhone 14 also they would uh, get rid of the Lightning port.
Why would they get rid of a Lightning port, a port which is proprietary, and it generates a huge amount of revenue for them every year? Why would they do that? See, I got this Lightning to 3.5 mm aux cable jack, whatever you call it. I got this in the package with iPhone 7, and now you don't get it anymore with any of the iPhones or
No, we
something.
don't get it.
I lost that in the first year, and I bought this for 900 rupees. And now this accessory, this 900 rupees accessory, you can this is one of the best, most sold accessory in the world. This one, this little thing
Hmm.
which cost 900 rupees in India, this is one of the most sold accessories in the world. After AirPods, the second most sold Apple accessory, it's this guy, is this little guy. So because
Hmm.
of that only, they are making huge profits. And because of this thing, they are a trillion dollar, they are multi-trillion dollar company, you can say.
Exactly.
And do you really think that they are going to just stop putting lightning ports in their devices and go for a USB type C or a Thunderbolt port?
Doesn't look like it. And I think I still 2 to 3 years I'll need to carry all these chargers with me wherever I go. So just now we were traveling, I mean just a couple of months back, and I had a huge pouch which had all the dongles, all the chargers for different devices. So it's like separately you have to carry that as a commodity. You can't just carry one charger to charge all your devices. And even all devices don't have wireless Qi charging, so you can't just carry a big wireless charger to charge all your devices on it. So its charging is still an issue.
Yes, exactly.
Talking about charging, I also just saw that Samsung's devices, new S22 series that we were talking about, even though the S22 Plus supports the 45-watt charging, it's still not. I think something is there in the software probably to preserve battery health. It's not charging that fast. It still takes more than an hour or so to charge the entire phone. So fast charging, 45-watt charging on S20 devices is just like 20-watt charging on Apple.
Okay.
So I think that is also like something which does not make sense. They just put this feature in that, but again the batteries are very smaller this year. So fast charging, they have given the support, but it's not charging fast. So that is one of the issues again the institute devices are facing.
I think they need to fix this with a software patch, because they can. And also if a consumer is not happy with the charging speed that the company has promised, I think the consumer won't last for a long time with a company. right?
Exactly. Hmm.
Because even I wouldn't do that if even I wouldn't do that. I have been using an iPhone since 2014, I guess, and I had never had a complaint with charging. Yes, it charges slowly, and that's what I want, because I don't want that
Hmm.
battery health to get deteriorated. But still, if at all I am buying a 12-watt charger and Apple is not, and my iPhone is not supporting the 12-watt charging, and it is charging with I guess 5 watt 5 or 7 watts, I would just switch. Because the amount of time we spend on charging a device, we are just not able to move because of that wired thing. We are not able to move, and if at all we need to hurry out, get to we need to be somewhere and the device is not charged, that causes a lot of issue for a consumer. I think we are done with the podcast, right? We have talked enough about Samsung and Apple. Yeah. What are the pros and cons of the devices? And you can make that choice all by yourself after listening to us, two geeks talking about tech and discussing them without being biased for to any company.
We are biased by videos. In one video, we are biased for Apple. In one video we are biased to Samsung.
That's how I think we should do, because we don't have to be biased for a company by our or a product for too long. We need to switch between things, and we need to think from other companies or other products perspective as well. That's what our job is, right?
It is, and we love doing it.
Yes, correct, correct. So thank you everyone, and thank you Zed for this podcast, and we can see you in the next podcast.